Nimi Maharaj, his body is preserved by the sages, the brahmanas there, and the brahmanas pray to the devatas to keep him alive. And Nimi Maharaj says, I don't want to come back in a material body again. So the devatas give him this benediction that he can have a spiritual body which he can manifest or not as he desires. So that is what we'll read just now. I just sometimes find it hard when we're reading the translations. My mind gets lost. So now you have a way to remember what's going on. So text 1, you can read together. Srila Shukadev Goswami said, after beginning sacrifices, Maharaj Nimi, the son of Ikshvaku, requested the great sage Vasishta to take the post of chief priest. At that time, Vasishta replied, my dear Maharaj Nimi, I have already accepted the same post in a sacrifice begun by Lord Indra. I shall return here after finishing the yagya for Indra. Kindly wait for me until then. Maharaj Nimi remained silent, and Vasishta began to perform the sacrifice for Lord Indra. Maharaj Nimi, being a self-realized soul, considered that this life is flickering.
Therefore, instead of waiting long for Vasishta, he began performing sacrifice for the priest.
After completing the sacrificial performance for King Indra, the spiritual master Vasishta returned and found that his disciple Maharaj Nimi had disobeyed his instructions. Thus Vasishta cursed him, saying, may the material body of Nimi, who considers himself learned, immediately fall. For unnecessarily cursing him when he had committed no offense, Maharaj Nimi counter-cursed his spiritual master. For the sake of getting contributions for the King of Heaven, he said, you have lost your religious intelligence. Therefore I pronounce this curse. Your body will also fall. After saying this, Maharaj Nimi, who was expert in the science of spiritual knowledge, gave up his body. Vasishta, the great-grandfather, gave up his body also, but through the semen discharged by Mitra and Varuna, when they saw Urvashi, he was born again. During the performance of the yagya, the body relinquished by Maharaj Nimi was preserved in fragrant substances, and at the end of the Satyuga, certain brahmanas made the following request to all the demigods assembled there. If you are satisfied with this sacrifice, and if you are actually able to do so, kindly bring Maharaj Nimi back to life in this body. The demigods said yes to this request by the sages, but Maharaj Nimi said, please do not imprison me again in a material body. Maharaj Nimi continued, Mayavadis generally want freedom from accepting a material body because they fear having to give it up again. But devotees whose intelligence is always filled with the service of the Lord are unafraid. Indeed, they take advantage of the body to render transcendental loving service. I do not wish to accept a material body, for such a body is the source of all distress, lamentation, and fear, everywhere in the universe, just as it is for a fish in the water, which lives always in anxiety because of fear of death. The demigods said, let Maharaj Nimi live without a material body. Let him live in a spiritual body as a personal associate of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and according to his desire, let them manifest or unmanifest to common materially embodied. Thank you. So that's all for our translations. Text 11 now we'll investigate. Okay. And again, I'm going to just go through the word for word first so we can have some idea what we're saying. So the Devatas are speaking this verse. Videha ushyatam kamam. You can live as you like without any material body. So they grant his desire. Lochaneshu sharidanam. In the vision of those who have material bodies, the common people, unmeshana nime shabhyam. You can become manifest or unmanifest as you desire to the common people. Lakshito dhyatma sangstata. Being seen, situated in a spiritual body. Yeah, so you will get this spiritual body that you so desired. Okay. Deva uchu Videha Ushyatam Kamam Lochaneshu Sharirinam Unmeshana Nimeshabhyam Lakshito Dhyatma Sangstitha Deva Uchuhu Videha Ushyatam Kamam Lochaneshu Sharirinam Unmeshana Nimeshabhyam Lakshito Dhyatma Sangstitha Videha Ushyatam Kamam Lochaneshu Sharirinam Unmeshana Nimeshabhyam Lakshito Dhyatma Sangstita
Deva Uchu Videha Ushyatam Kamam
Videha Ushyatam Kamam Lochaneshu Sharirinam Unmeshana Nimeshabhyam Lakshito Dhyatma Sangstita Deva Uchuhu Videha Ushyatam Kamam Lochaneshu Sharirinam Unmeshana Nimeshabhyam Shamsita. Thank you all. Now, Srila Prabhupada's translation and purport. The demigods said, "Let Maharaj Nimi live without a material body. Let him live in a spiritual body as a personal associate of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and according to his desire, let him be manifest or unmanifest to common materially embodied people." Altogether, okay. The demigods said, "Let Maharaj Nimi live without a material body. Let him live in a spiritual body as a personal associate of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and according to his desire, let him be manifest or unmanifest to common materially embodied people." Purport. Bruce, can you read, please?
The demigods wanted Maharaj Nimi to come to life. But Maharaj Nimi did not want to accept another material body. Under the circumstances, the demigods, having been requested by the saintly persons, gave him the benediction that he would be able to stay in his spiritual body. There are two kinds of spiritual bodies, as generally understood by common men. The term spiritual body is sometimes taken to refer to a ghostly body. An impious man who dies after sinful activities is sometimes condemned so that he cannot possess a gross material body of 5 material elements, but must live in a subtle body of mind, intelligence, and ego. However, as explained in Bhagavad Gita, devotees can give up the material body and attain a spiritual body, free from all material tinges, gross and subtle. Thus, the demigods gave King Nimi the benediction that he would be able to stay in a purely spiritual body, free from all gross and subtle material contamination. The Supreme Personality of the Godhead can be seen or unseen according to his own transcendental desire. Similarly, a devotee, being Jivan Mukta, can be seen or not, as he chooses. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Naham Prakasha Sarvasya Yogamaya Sama Brika. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is not manifest to everyone and anyone. To the common man, he is unseen. Atah Shri Krishna Namadi Na Babed Grayam Indrayai. Krishna and his name, fame, qualities, and paraphernalia cannot be materially understood. Unless one is advanced in spiritual life, one cannot see Krishna. Therefore, the ability to see Krishna depends on Krishna's mercy. The same privilege of being seen or unseen according to one's own desire was given to Maharaj Nimi. Thus, he lived in his original spiritual body as an associate of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So, Maharaj Nimi had a desire to no longer take birth in a material body. Why did he have this desire? Because he recognized that in the previous verse, the body is the source of all distress. Dukkha, shoka, bhaya, avaham. It's the source of dukkha, stress, pain, misery. Like we see in Lord Kapiladev's teachings in the third canto of Bhagavatam, that taking birth is a very painful process. We see as the living entity comes into the womb of the mother, it's burned by the acidic foods that the mother eats. You know, imagine your mother eating spicy pickle, raw chili peppers, burning the embryo in the womb. And also the creatures living in the stomach, the insects, or the Bhagavatam talks about worms living or biting the embryo. And also it's very tight. You know, we call it the fetal position. Maybe like I sleep a little bit curled up. There's some comfort there. But if it's too much and you can't move at all, then it's really painful. Like when you're in India and you have 8 people in a small car. Like we'll squeeze people in a rickshaw when we're going from place to place in Vrindavan just to save 50 rupees. But we have we can hang out the side, you can hop out if it's too much. But when you're in the womb, you have no choice. You're stuck for a long time. You can imagine a ride from Delhi to Vrindavan in a packed taxi. It can be uncomfortable, but you know, okay, just a couple hours and we're finished. But when you're in the womb, you have no choice. And you're there for months on end. So the pain, the dukkha of birth is very intense. And Lord Kapiladev describes the living entity's prayers. If the living entity is fortunate, then it will recognize its situation and pray to Krishna, I can't believe I've done it one more time. Please, please help me to always remember you and serve you throughout this life so that I don't have to go through this situation again. And yet, Maya is so powerful that you come out of the womb and kuchi kuchi ku. Your parents pamper you, your relatives come, they give you whatever you want. You're so cute, buy you all sorts of toys and things, and you again get absorbed in material life. And even for the mother, there's so much pain in childbirth. From what I've heard is some of the most severe pain a human body can go through. And yet, Maya is so powerful that shortly after, the mother will think, yeah, I should do that again. It wasn't so bad. So the material body is the source of all dukkha. And shoka, lamentation. Can someone look up lamentation? Because I had been reading this word in Prabhupada's books for so long. It's not so common in my upbringing, this word, lamentation. But when I looked it up, it's actually a lot more severe than I thought. I thought it was just, oh, I can't believe I did that, kind of like a regretful feeling. But what does it actually say?
Passionate expression of grief or sorrow, weeping.
Passionate expression of grief or sorrow. Yeah, weeping. That's intense. Imagine someone weeping means like a bitter, intense crying. When is the last time that you've wept? Maybe you weep when a loved one leaves their body, or what else would cause you to weep? Examples? Can you say? Why do people weep?
Being injured.
Injured? Yeah, if you're in intense physical pain. Or maybe you have dependent wife and children and you lose your job and you're in intense fear of how can I go on with my material life, how can I maintain this family. We see Chitraketu Maharaj weeping in the, which canto? 4th canto, I believe. And this is as a result of losing his beloved son. He's lamenting the death of this son that he worked so hard. He had so many queens. He tried again and again and again and couldn't have a son. And when he finally got one, the other queens who didn't have a son became envious and they poisoned the child. And Chitraketu Maharaj was lamenting, weeping intensely. And this is because of attachment to one's own material body and the byproducts of the material body. Dukkha, shoka, bhaya, fear. We feel fear as a result of our material body as well. Because we know deep down that one day we'll lose this material body and everything attached to it. I've heard Vaisheshika Prabhu explain it like we are in a nice apartment and we're getting very comfortable there, decorating it nicely, all the tapestries and paintings, and the lighting is just right. And we could get evicted any day. And so someone comes to our door and the landlord says, you have to go. You have 24 hours to leave and you can't say no. You can't stick around any longer. That's it. So like that, we will one day be evicted from this material body. And therefore we're always in fear because we're in an unstable situation. So recognizing this, Nimi Maharaj says, no more, I don't want the shoka moka bhaya. If I don't have material body, I won't have to experience all of this pain of material life. And so the devatas kindly grant him this benediction. I'm guessing because he's such a great devotee. We read earlier that he's a great soul. Yeah. I don't remember where it said that. In any case, he's clearly very elevated because he gets this benediction of having a spiritual body and being a personal associate of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Who else got a spiritual body in the 1st canto of Bhagavatam? Yeah? Narada Muni. Yeah. He explains his backstory, how he came to Krishna consciousness, how he was orphaned at 5 years old, how he left home to meditate in the forest under the instruction of pure devotees. He saw the Lord in his heart, and then the Lord spoke to him and said, you won't see me again in this life, but just go on chanting and discussing my pastimes and names. And then in his next life, Narada Muni received a spiritual body in a similar way that he could travel all over the universe freely as he liked. Narada Muni bhajaya vina Radhika Ramana Name. He's always singing the names of Radha and Krishna. Radhika Ramana Name. So this is a similar benediction that Nimi Maharaj gets, is that he can travel. It doesn't say specifically he can travel. It says he can live in a spiritual body as a personal associate of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and according to his desire, let him be manifest or unmanifest to common materially embodied people. I remember when I was young, I was fascinated with superpowers. I watched Spider-Man and, Batman and all these movies. And I was fascinated. I always thought invisibility would be cool. But then my dreams of what I would do with it was like, I'd just go take something, go steal something. Just do some criminal things. That's the problem with mystic power, or with any power. If you're not pure in heart, then you're going to abuse it. But Nimi Maharaj gets this, he basically gets this invisibility cloak, like Harry Potter. But it's interesting that this is to common materially embodied people, which means that there's a difference in vision. And this is one essential theme I thought we could focus on. I'll just share a few thoughts and then we can see other reflections. Srila Prabhupada says that it requires a certain qualification both to see Krishna and to see his pure devotee. It's not that anyone can see. Brahma describes in the Brahma Samhita, Premanjanatur Charita Bhakti Vilochanina Santa Sadaiva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti Yam Shyama Sundaram Achintya Guna Swarupam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. He says that only one whose eyes are smeared with the salve of love can see Yam Shyama Sundaram Achintya Guna Swarupam, can see this inconceivable form and perceive the wonderful qualities and pastimes of the Supreme Lord. So we need to have love for Krishna. This is the secret in order to see him. Because we can go up in the temple, we're fortunate that we can see the forms of Radha Gopinath, Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra, Gaura Nitai, but do we really see? And I had an experience a few days ago in Japa where I was trying to visualize the deities, and I had this unique experience of feeling some affection. It was really wonderful, and I was thinking, wow, maybe it'll just be like this from now on. Maybe my japa is always going to be this nice, and I'll feel so close to the deities. And so the last few days I've been trying the same thing, and I just feel like I'm looking at stone. And I'm realizing it's because my heart is like stone. And I'm not yet purified enough to consistently have that experience. It's like Krishna will give us a little glimpse sometimes, like Narada Muni got that glimpse in his youth. But then the Lord said, sorry, you're not going to experience this again. You're not yet perfect in your devotional service. So we need to go through the rigid purification of anartha nivriti. We need to go through the fire in order to become fire, to become like gold alloy. It goes through intense heat in order to become pure gold. Or coal needs to go through intense pressure in order to become a valuable diamond. So we have to be prepared to go through some intense purification. We need to grab the reins tight. Like, some people try to ride a wild horse, tame a wild horse, and you have to hold on tight. So it's kind of like that. We have to hold tight onto the guidance of our spiritual master. And by so doing, we purify our consciousness and develop the ability to see. Srila Prabhupada quotes this verse, Ata Shri Krishna Namadi na bhaved grahyam indriyai, which means that we can't perceive Krishna and everything related to him with our current contaminated senses. We need sevan mukyehi jivado. We need to become fully immersed, absorbed in service, and that will purify us. And the image, I always think, seva mukyehi jivado. I can't remember the word Prabhupada uses in his translation to this, but something like, saturated. We need to become saturated with devotional service in order to perceive Krishna's transcendental nature. And so, what's something that we love to eat which is saturated? Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I think of gulab jamuns. We need to become like a gulab jamun. Fully saturated. A gulab jamun has so much sweetness inside of it that if you squeeze it, nothing comes out except sweet. And yet, how does the gulab jamun get made? What's the process?
Intense eating.
And before that? Kneading, yeah. You take, I don't know the exact ingredients. Maybe someone here is better cook than I. What is it made from? Milk powder?
Ideally, it's supposed to be paneer, but we...
Curd.
Yeah, but we use a lot of refined flour.
Flour, curd, some mixture thereof, and you knead it with great pressure, and you form it into...
With hot water.
With hot water. Ah, okay, good detail. With hot water, you knead the ingredients into a nice shape. So it's like at the beginning, we're a bit formless in our spiritual life. You know, we're wandering around in the world. Yeah, I'm spiritual. I'm a seeker. But actually, like many people we meet on the street for book distribution, they're like, yeah, I'm really spiritual. And I've learned to not ask this question anymore. I'll say, so yeah, what kind of practice do you do? Because it's always embarrassing for them. They don't have a practice most of the time. They just identify as spiritual and don't do anything about it. So that's kind of how we are at the beginning. We fancy ourselves a very pure seeker, but really we're just like some flour and curd sitting out on the table. So we need the guidance of an expert cook. They, actually, interestingly, they don't even have to be so expert at the beginning. We can think of those who helped us come to bhakti. You don't really have to know that much to teach someone how to chant on japa beads, how to read the Gita. The basics, all of us know. We are all a guru in that sense. Vartma pradarshaka guru means one who shows the way to the path. So all of us can do that. Someone new comes to the temple, and like last night, Bruce and Sahadev, although you all are much more qualified than just showing people how to chant japa, but you had no problem showing some newer devotees the basics of bhakti. And so like that, we get formed into a little ball. We have some form, like all of us here in Bhakti Academy. There's some form now to our spiritual life. There's a structure we follow. We wake up early in the morning, we go to the temple program, we have some regular reading, ideally. We're following principles. And okay, maybe we feel at that point like, yep, I'm a nice round ball, I've made it. I'm a pure devotee now. We call this PDS, Pure Devotee Syndrome. So beware of thinking you're already a gulab jamun. You're not there yet. What do you need to do? Next is?
Boil.
Next you get boiled. Or fried, right, in oil.
Fried.
You get fried in oil. Ideally ghee. And it's going to be a little painful. Krishna will turn up the intensity of our experience. Maybe we'll start to struggle with waking up early. Or maybe we never stop struggling. Maybe it stays hard to wake up early. Maybe we have difficulty following the 4 principles of freedom. Maybe we struggle to maintain regular reading. Maybe we're unrefined in our relationships and our etiquette, and we make offenses against other devotees. And so Krishna very kindly puts us in oil or hot ghee. And what is that hot ghee? Is, we can say, the sadhu sangha. That it's like a rock tumbler is the other analogy we give. That unrefined stones will get thrown in with each other, and by shaking them up, then their rough edges break off against each other and they become smooth and shiny. So in a similar way, we get thrown into the heat of anartha nivriti. Once we really get into the regular practice, especially under the guidance of a spiritual master, then the heat will start to turn up. And how do we get through that heat of anartha nivriti? We need good prasadam. That's one. Like we have Sahadev and I have a mentor, Parameshwar Prabhu, and he's told us that when things are difficult, I've learned that if you just have some nice prasadam, take a nap, usually that solves most of your problems. Oh, you didn't hear that advice? Okay. Yeah, I got this advice from him. That's why it's my main instruction I follow. So, we need enough pleasure. It's said that sense gratification is like salt, and if you have too much, then it spoils the dish. And if you have too little, then you can't really properly relish and process the meal. So we need some sweetness, and that sweetness also comes especially, I shouldn't say also, it especially comes in the form of Krishna Katha and Nam Kirtan. By coming together with devotees and doing kirtan together, by reading and discussing Srila Prabhupada's books, we feel a happiness like no other. Mito ratir mitashtushtir nivritir mita atmana. In the 11th canto, Krishna tells Uddhava that by coming together with devotees, mito tushti, we feel satisfaction. Mito and rati, we feel attachment and pleasure. So this will help us get through the difficult times. Krishna's pastimes and names are like a cooling salve for our burning heart. And okay, so the gulab jamun, then what happens? After the difficult frying, boiling process gets finished, then you get soaked. Yeah, then it gets a lot easier. So the initial purification is very difficult. There's an intense grind. I gave the analogy last class of biking uphill, a steep hill. But at a certain point, it starts to become easier. And we can get to some relative steadiness in our devotional practice. And then we eventually get some taste, and we're just soaking in sweetness. The sugar syrup, just floating. There's other, unprocessed gulab jamun soaking with us. We can chant Hare Krishna together. And after some time, the main ingredient is time. If we're in the right environment for a prolonged time, then it's a natural result that we will become a sweet, saturated gulab jamun of a devotee. And then the best part is what happens after the cook takes you out of the sugar syrup. Then what happens? Then, no model. I was tricking you. That's my favorite part. Yes, Sadev, we offer it to Krishna. Yes, the pujari will take it, and we, by the grace of our spiritual master, get lovingly offered at the lotus feet of Krishna. Right? We sing every morning, Jahada prasade bhai e bhavatoriya jai, Krishna prapti hoy jaha hoy te. We get Krishna prapti. Prapti siddhi is you can reach something from a far place. Krishna is very far from us right now, but we get Krishna prapti. The spiritual master takes us across this material world, oh brothers and sisters, bhai. And the spiritual master offers us at the lotus feet of Krishna. He says, my dear Lord, this devotee has gone through a rigid purification. They've been through the grinder, they've been boiled and fried and kneaded and soaked for a long time, and they are purified and they're ready to serve you eternally. And by the grace of the Guru, and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains that by the grace of the pure holy name, we will be revealed our spiritual form, our eternal relationship with Krishna, just as Maharaj Nimi was given his position as an eternal associate of Krishna. That will one day be our great blessing. We will know exactly everything we need to know in relation to Krishna and our service, and we will, at first we won't. We'll get some training to do our eternal service, and then what else can we desire? And then the best part, it gets even, like with Krishna, there's perfect, and then there's more perfect. And after more perfect is most perfect, yeah. And more. Yeah. So after the spiritual master offers us at the lotus feet of Krishna, then, after we offer the gulab jamun, okay, yes, Krishna takes the, being careful now. The pujari brings the gulab jamuns down into the prasadam hall. We finish Bhagavatam class and we go, and wow! And we get to relish the sweetness of the result of the whole process. So one day we will have the fortune to taste pure love of Krishna, prema, eternally. And it will be, how can I even speak about it? I have no idea, but the description is that it's unlimitedly wonderful, and it's always increasing in sweetness. Every moment that Krishna will see his devotees, and he'll be so happy to see them. And when the devotee sees Krishna very happy, they become even more happy, and they just want to do more and more service to please the other. We just read in the CC the other day that when Krishna sees Srimati Radharani smiling, that makes him feel 1,000 times more happy than by his own personal contact with her. Just to see his devotee happy makes Krishna so happy. So, like the spiritual master, Chaturvedha Shri Bhagavat Prasada Swadvana Triptan Hari Bhakta Sangan Kritvaiva Triptim Bhajata Sadaiva Vande Guru Shri Charanara. They feel great satisfaction seeing all the devotees honoring prasadam. The spiritual master knows the hard work the devotees have gone through to perfect their bhakti practice, and imagine how happy we will make our Srila Prabhupada, our spiritual master, by perfecting our devotional service. That we can say is the greatest way to please the spiritual master, is just by becoming a pure devotee. Srila Prabhupada writes in his introduction to Bhagavad Gita that if just one person becomes a perfected devotee of Krishna, then I will consider this whole International Society for Krishna Consciousness a success. So that is the desire of our previous acharyas, is that we become a pure devotee of Krishna and become eternally happy. And if we can do that, then everyone we come in contact with will be impacted. A pure devotee with prema can, just by their will, can give others prema. And only a devotee in prema can give prema, actually. So until we're at that stage, those at the stage of bhava can help someone get to nishta, this steady stage. But if you're below the stage of ecstasy, let me know if you're in the stage of ecstasy yet. I'd love to have the dust of your feet. If not, then all we can really do actually is inspire someone with shraddha. This is how Bhaktivinoda Thakur describes. So the greatest preaching we can do is to become a pure devotee from that perspective. Okay, my dear Gulab Jamuns in progress. Thank you for allowing me to speak. And these classes are just turning up the knob a little bit on our pot of boiling ghee. And I pray that as soon as possible we can all get into the sweet sugar syrup and beyond. And let's help each other to get there. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Yes, Amal Harinam.
Thank you, Prabhu. I really like how the class was super engaging and full of analogies. However, my question was regarding the verse itself. So it says, the demigods, or they give the boon, or if not boon, the spiritual body, so that he can be a proper associate of Krishna. But they are not themselves liberated.
That is a really good question. Yeah, I didn't consider that fact. And I didn't see Srila Prabhupada give any explanation of this. Yeah, the demigods gave this benediction, although we generally hear that they're mixed devotees, they're not pure. The best guess I could give is that if Krishna so desires, maybe he can just arrange this to happen. He can empower someone. But yeah, that's a very nice question. Perhaps we can ask someone like Prabhupada Priya, and you can report back tomorrow. Can you take that homework assignment for us?
Yes.
That's a very nice question.
Something that comes up in my mind, like only because of devotees we become devotees. So I feel like because like demigods were like, devotees of Lord, they were able to give that boon.
They're devotees, yes.
Like, it's It's not just one, it's like many. All of them are praying.
I mean, at least to my understanding, as I explained, it takes one with prema to give prema. Yeah. So and maybe, yeah, I can't say. That's a difficult question. Yeah, can't speak any further on it.
I also had one more comment. So, hearing about like Narad Muni, how he fall down and then how he gets these, just by sharing the saints, he gets this boom that he will attain the Godhead.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just like practicing spirituality and he meets God and then he tells them like, yeah, you just have to wait till that and he will be with me. So I feel like that was so easy, you know, you just like serve saint, you get the boom and you get Godhead. And I was like comparing like to us and to Narad Muni. So we are also like very fortunate to have this, you know, the knowledge, this absolute knowledge. We think like it's very hard, but like it's very easy process. We also get to serve sadhus. We also get to, you know, practice spirituality. We also get to know this knowledge. But being consistent is just the difficulty.
Yes. Yeah, Narada Muni explains his qualification. Remember? You all remember what Narada Muni said? Why was he able to nicely serve and hear from the sages that came?
He wasn't interested in sports.
Yeah, he wasn't distracted by any mundane activities. Yeah, he says, I was good-natured and I wasn't really interested in play. He was interested in hearing from sadhus and wanting to serve them. So he had a very pure culture, probably from his mother. Yeah, so that's generally our struggle in Kali Yuga. Our culture is not so refined. And it takes some time to get into a sattvic mode so we can really nicely do our devotional service in a consistent way. Yeah. Other reflections? Something that struck you? Something you can apply? Something, yeah. Sorry, Tucker.
Yes, something that struck me was that Krishna will intensify the heat, and it's not generally in our hand, it's in Krishna's hand to lower, high, medium.
Yes.
Yes, yeah.
That's a great point. Yeah, it's the intensity of our purification is in the hands of Krishna. And yeah.
I heard somewhere that qualification of a good disciple is that the first qualification is that he can tolerate. So, yeah, like just tolerate the heat.
Yes.
No way.
Yeah, just like Lord Brahma's verse, Tattenu kampam susamikshamano. He says that one who tolerantly, patiently waits for the mercy of Krishna and undergoing all the suffering of one's previous karmic reactions, always giving respect to Krishna, then this person is eligible to inherit the spiritual kingdom. So yes, we have to patiently await that time, tolerantly wait. Yeah. Yes, Mono.
I really like the analogy of gulab jamun. So I also kind of understood that, Krishna will intensify the heat with respect to your surrender, and if you are not ready for it, Krishna will not do it. So it's like ye tama pradasya. So if you really want to mingle in this material world and just be pseudo devotee, then Krishna will keep you there. Krishna will give you all the material opulences and he'll be like, okay, you want to be happy here? Be happy here. But if you really want to go close to Krishna, you really want to, have an association, serve him, then he will make arrangements. You just need to be sincere in your desire. Like, I really want to Krishna. That should be our prayer. That should be our desire in our heart. So I feel like that is very, very important, because that will ultimately attract the mercy of Krishna, that will ultimately attract the mercy of Arjuna. So, yeah.
That's really nice. And I see another extension of the analogy that what pot are we getting into? What pot of ghee? What temperature is that ghee? You know, there's within the association of devotees, some devotees are content to kind of kick back and maybe it'll take 10 lifetimes, 100, that's all right. I just want to be comfortable. And some are like, no, there's nothing else but pure devotional service. I don't care what it takes. And that pot is boiling, you know. The other pot the flame is there, but not much is going to happen. It's going to take a long time to become purified. So which pot of ghee do we get into? Yeah. Bruce, you had a point?
Earlier we were talking about we see the deities and we said that we really see them, and you said we see them as a kind of like in the state that our heart is, like a reflection of our heart. And something you said after that is we need to become fully immersed and saturated. I think this is what you said. We need to become fully immersed and saturated in Krishna service. Could you I just really like that point, and I would like if you could elaborate more on that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the verse that Prabhupada was quoting, that I was also quoting, Seva mukya hi jiva, though. And so jiva means tongue. So starting with the tongue, we become fully absorbed in devotional service. Yeah, Seva mukya hi jiva. Jiva means the tongue. So we absorb our tongue especially in devotional service by honoring prasadam in the right quantity and quality, and by what?
Kirtana.
By kirtan, yeah, by chanting the names and pastimes, glories of Krishna. So don't waste, not just don't, be very, very careful about using the tongue to speak ill of devotees. That will destroy your devotional service. Use your tongue to speak positively, to speak appreciatively of Krishna and his devotees. Like we read Prabhupada's books out loud, using our tongue in that way. And then after we've read, we can talk about what we've read with others. We can, as much as possible, use our tongue. And then when we're not doing anything else, we can use our tongue to chant Hare Krishna. When we're walking around the hallways here, when we're driving somewhere, when we have any free time, absorb the tongue in chanting. And in this way, we'll become absorbed, and one day we will see the deities as they are. And thank you for that thoughtful question. So we're over time. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and hope the boiling process is not too intense and we can support each other through